Hey guys, it's Ker-Leen and you are watching Lemomlife. Thank you so much for tuning back in. As promised, today I am introducing you all to my little guy, Elias. I finally got to the point where I felt like he was ready to make his appearance, and because you guys are such a big part of what I do on this channel, I do it for you and I do it to inspire. I definitely wanted to make sure we did an introduction video, just as I had done with my other two kids as well. But without further ado, here he is. I've been cradling him to keep him calm, but he ate not too long ago and he is a little bit sleepy. So we'll see how long he lasts. But this is Mr. Elias. Elias is 2 months old and he is just the sweetest, most cuddliest, most smushy face. I call him smushy face because his face is just so smushable. But he's just the most adorable, calm little spirit ever. He is such a joy, and I'm so grateful to God for his life and for how far he's come. Let me see if I can get him up here so you guys can see. So there he is. He's looking for the breast probably right now, and he is a little tired. Say hi. Say hi. Okay. All right. Too much? Yeah, he is. All right. Here he is. There he is. About the first month of his life, he was in the hospital NICU, and he was born early because I had preeclampsia, and I also found out that I had something called placental abruption happening, where my placenta was separating from my uterus. So they basically had to do an emergency C-section on me, and that's how he was born. So I hadn't mentioned it before, but he was born at 31 weeks, and that I so wasn't expecting it. I mean, I was feeling pain. I was feeling weird. I felt like this was the hardest pregnancy ever. And at the point where he was born, I was like, man, this is a lot. Lo and behold, it was just, he was getting ready to come. So I did share my birth story. And if you haven't watched it, go ahead and watch it. I'll put a card in here somewhere so that you can go watch my birth story. I also shared about our NICU experience in detail, along with tips, on my website. So if you want to know what I experienced in detail, you want some tips, maybe you are in the NICU right now watching your YouTube videos, maybe you're at the hospital right now and your baby's in NICU, my website details everything that we went through and some of the things that helped us make it out of the NICU with our sanity and still as a unit, as a family. And also helped us to get him out of the NICU a lot earlier than they said he should have come home. Check out my website. I will link that specific post down below. But in a nutshell, our NICU experience was overall great. I think the staff was competent. I think they did their job the best that they could. There's just a lot of red tape when your child is in the NICU because the hospital doesn't want to assume responsibility for something going wrong or get, lawsuits after your child is discharged. So getting your child to the point where they actually come home with you is quite a challenge. And in a lot of cases, the babies, they need to be there as long as they tell you they need to be there. But in our case, he had gotten to a point where he was off of all machines. Like, he didn't need help in any way. He was just eating and sleeping, and they're waiting for him to grow. They were also waiting for him to be able to take 100% of his bottles. But the issue with him eating is that he was on a feeding tube. So after everything was stripped away, they still had a feeding tube in his nose to make sure he got what he needed calorie-wise so that he could keep growing. Like, in case he didn't take his whole bottle, they could finish the feed through the feeding tube, because at that point, bless you, I think we were at the 34-week mark, and that's the point at which the switch turns on and they start wanting to bottle feed and breastfeed. They were very conservative with how they offered the bottles. And then it changed depending on the nurse that was on shift. So some nurses... Alright, so Elias decided he wanted to grab a snack, so he's doing that now. But I'll keep on with the story and we'll see how this goes. Basically, he was at a point where he could drink bottles. He loved getting a bottle. He was waking up by himself, rooting, looking for the bottle or the breast. And some nurses would offer him a bottle every single time, and some nurses, if he looked like he was sleepy, they just would not offer the bottle. And I get the overall purpose. Some of them would say that they didn't want him to expend too much energy and lose weight. And then others would attempt it, and if he didn't drink everything, they would give him the rest of it through the feeding tube, which for me, that was the approach that I liked, because they were at least giving him a chance. That was the approach that we felt the best about, because at least they were trying to give him a chance to take his bottles, and we were that much closer to going home. He was doing everything that he was supposed to do. They look for your child to be able to breathe on their own, control their body temperature on their own, so without the help of any warmers, and be at the point where they can eat so that they can take their feeds and gain weight. Your child has to be at a certain weight just to fit in the car seat, obviously, to be at the weight requirement for the car seat, obviously. So they look for all of those things, and we were like almost there. We're just waiting on him to take his full feeds, and then we came into the roadblock of some nurses did it, some nurses didn't. Some nurses offered him his bottle and some they didn't. And logistically speaking, some nurses they would get busy during their shifts. Maybe something was going on with another baby during his time to feed. They would just tube feed him and go deal with whatever they need to deal with, which is understandable. So once we realized that this was what was happening, hubby and I were like, you know what? We are getting our baby out. We're getting our baby home at ASAP. So we decided I would take the day shift, he would take the night shift, and we would be there to bottle feed him every single feed. And we did that. And by God's grace, we did it in one day. And during the night shift, when my husband was there, the nurse that was there decided to remove his tube because he had taken all of his bottles, and that's how his tube got removed. 2 days later, we were going home. How good is God? Okay, guys, so he actually just fell asleep, or he's trying to go to sleep. I might have to give him to my husband because my voice might be annoying him right now. But anyways, that's how we got our baby to come home. Like I said, he was doing everything he was supposed to do. He was not on any breathing machines. He actually only needed assistance for 10 days. And 7 of those days, he was on a reduced fluid cannula. So that means they just needed to give him a little bit of a reminder to breathe, but he was breathing on his own. And he had pretty much been breathing on his own since he was born, but it was taking a lot of energy for him to do that. So he was on oxygen for a total of 10 days. And then after that, he needed help controlling his body temperature for a while longer. Shortly after his oxygen was removed, they started to let him control his body temperature on his own. So he was weaned off of oxygen, weaned off of the temperature control, and he just needed to be able to eat so he could come home. And so, like I said, we each took a shift. I fed him all of his bottles during the day shift. Hubby went at night and fed him all of his bottles. And that night, the nurse decided to remove his feeding tube. And 2 days later, we were on our way home because he had met weight, he wasn't on oxygen, and he could control his body temperature. So, I mean, there were a lot of highs and lows emotionally because it was really hard to get an answer, even as far as what I just told you. They wouldn't even tell us, okay, this needs to happen, then this, then this. They were so afraid of telling us anything because it was up to the baby, up to the baby. That was like the default response. So while I'm grateful for the NICU and for the doctors that helped to save his life, the red tape was very difficult to deal with at the end there because the back and forth to the NICU was taking a toll on us. We were afraid to leave the kids with anyone because we couldn't compromise Elias's immune system. And I know that as soon as the kids get sick, I get sick. and that means that I can't be with him, and my pumping could even be impacted because I was pumping for him around the clock. He had a big supply of milk. Everyone kept saying, "Good job, Mom, way to go." And at first I was like, what's the big deal? I'm just pumping milk for him. But when we got ready to go home, they brought me my milk that they had stored there at the hospital, and I was like, whoa. It is crazy how much milk I pumped for him in that, month or so. So yeah, it was quite a journey. Like I said, I detailed it on my website. So please go check out my website. I give tips on how we survived, things that you need to remember, all of that good stuff. If you're a mom that has a baby or babies in the NICU, I really think you'll benefit from that post. That's all I wanted to say in this quick video. He is fast asleep, but he is the calmest baby. He's so wise. I mean, like a week or so into his life, I went to his room at the NICU, and we were all there and we were talking, and he was just like looking around for us, and he just recognized our voices right away. And he's just the smartest little baby. He's so aware, so alert. Shortly after we got home, I had him on his tummy. It was the daytime. I was doing some things around the house. He was right there next to me. So I put him on his tummy and I was doing something, and then I looked up and he was on his back. I was like, I was so shocked, and it happened so quickly. He was fussing and I heard him, and I was getting ready to go get him, and he had turned himself onto his back. So he has exceeded our expectations. As far as 2-month milestones, he's right there with the 2-month milestones, and his pediatrician says he should have no delays, no problems, and I don't think so either, because just observing him, he's just right where he should be. He's doing all the things that I would expect of him at 2 months old. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know he's sleeping and he wasn't on camera much, but you guys will see him all the time now, especially in my vlogs. So if you don't watch my day in the life vlogs, then please do so. I have a whole playlist which I'll link at the end of this video so that you can get acquainted with my family if you're new to the channel. If you have missed some vlogs, you can catch up. So thank you so much for tuning into this video. If you're new to the channel, welcome to Lemomlife. If you're interested, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video, or if it helped you, or if it made you smile. And I will see you all really soon in some upcoming videos. I have some reviews coming up, and I also have a pumping video coming up after this one with tips on how I was able to pump as much as I did in the NICU for him. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you really soon. Bye.